My topic is very difficult, but generally speaking, our meeting today will be very difficult because we want to speak about the insurance business, motor business, and especially profitability. Is it generally possible? Of course it is, but they must be fulfilled some very important preconditions. I will not deliver any special figures because I know that some of you during the conference you will present the figures from the national markets. It's not necessary to repeat it. But generally speaking, you see on the screen profitability versus consumer protection. Is there in the reality any contradiction? But before we will answer this question, we should reflect who is in fact the customer and who is in the conflict. In the conflict, generally speaking, this is a bit provocative question, who is in conflict, the customers and the insurance market. I'm in a very comfortable situation because since many years I'm working in an organization, it is non-profit. During my 35 years career in insurance business, I was on an insurance side, strict, working in insurance companies, and now I'm leading the Polish Motor Insurance Bureau and all the Council of Bureau. They are big organization, 46 members of all Europe and Asia and Africa. Oh, now I can sing. So, customers, there are two types of the people. There is the insured person, and this is the victim. And we shouldn't forget that there is not the question if you want or not to pay the compensation, but in the first line, we want to have the money from the person who is obliged to pay for the compulsory third-party liability. And the involved bodies, they are the insurers, national bureaus, and the guarantee funds. All of them, they are involved in the protection of the customers. We shouldn't forget that the motor third-party liability was in fact introduced beginning of 20th century regarding as a consequence of the increase of the vehicles on the roads and the potential risk. And in the first line, the motor insurance was introduced not to generate the profit, but to secure the victim rights. In the second line, there was also intention for the insurance companies, they are obliged to pay the compensation to earn the money. It means to generate the profit, but under certain conditions. Soon this insurance became compulsory, and the leaders in this area, they were Nordic countries and Switzerland in Europe. And as I have mentioned, the protection is the most important key word in this area. Why this is so important? Because we are living in very huge area, with very huge population, and there are many vehicles on the European roads. I'm sorry, I know there are the colleagues also from other countries, non-European countries, but the figures relate directly to European market. And the number of the accidents. It's difficult to write any figure. There are millions. Smaller and bigger, but there are millions. And finally, we could come back to the question, profit or protection, or maybe profit and protection. How to reach this goal? Is really the profit in contradiction to the protection? Maybe profit is necessary. Maybe this is one of the preconditions to secure the real rights of the customers. We can look on this problem from different angle and to formulate opposite question. Is it really possible to give the full cover to the customers in the situation when all the market can't generate the profit? Who will finance the security? Who, if not the insurance market? Do you know another bodies, they can't secure the rights of the customers? We shouldn't forget that the protection of the people who are obliged to pay for the compulsory MTPL is as much important as the protection of the victims. Why? Because, as I have mentioned at the beginning, the idea was in fact to protect the people. They were the owners of the vehicles and the victims. Why is it so important to protect the owners of the vehicles? Because if not, they would offer their property to satisfy the victim of the accidents. This happens very often in the case of uninsured driving, but we will talk about it a bit later. What are the potential risks for the profit? We can say that generally speaking, we have two types of the potential risks. They are external and internal, and they have different influence on our activity in the insurance business. Let's start with the external. We can say that the economical crisis on a national level or on an international level. We were faced in the recent past with a very big international financial crisis. And this could have direct influence on the profitability of the insurance business, of course. But knowing that the motor insurance business, and especially compulsory MTPL, is compulsory, as is in the name, and everybody is obliged to pay for this, do we have really a big influence of the insurance or international crisis or national financial crisis on this special type line of the business? Of course, it could. But in fact, this depends on the activity of the insurers, and this will be on the list of the internal risk. Another, this could be the not predictable policy on the national level. What does this mean? This means that unfortunately, the insurers or they are influenced by the decisions of the parliaments, generally politicians, including also supervisory authorities. But generally speaking, the control, the supervising is very welcomed, but it must be on a professional level. Why we are so interested to have stable policy of the state in this matter? Because the insurance market has to create the reserves. If we don't know how to evaluate our performance today and what could happen in the future, we will be faced with the situation that we will have not enough sources in the future for the risk we are signing today. We shouldn't forget that the motor insurance business is a long-tail business. This is not unusual that signing today the policy, I will pay in 20 years the compensation still to the victim. I have the feeling that on many markets, our colleagues forget about this principle. They are thinking on the basis of the cash flow. But this is, again, the internal risk. Low level of the supervision. You were faced not only once in your professional life with non-professional supervision. This is a real disaster for the insurance market. The problem is that it's very difficult to find the professionals they would like to work in such supervision. It is directly influenced by the politicians in many countries. Fortunately, there are more and more countries where there are independent bodies, and even this is impossible to suspend or fire the supervisory commission chairman due to any political reasons. This is very important to receive very competent support from the insurance supervisory. But the control must be on a positive way. It means it's impossible to start the control with the intention to find the errors in the activity of the insurance company. It should be vice versa. The good control should confirm that the company is working on a good way and should suggest some improvements to secure the standards of the service to the clients and standards from the financial point of view. And the jurisprudence, unfortunately, on many markets, we can observe that the decision of the courts are going strictly only in one direction. The problem is that among the normal people, and the judges are also normal people, they think, I would like to have also potential compensation if the future as much as possible. And nobody thinks about these people, they are paying the insurance premium. I think that I'm really convinced that the judges are fully aware of the fact that not the shareholders are financing the reserves and the indemnities, but the people, they are paying for the compensation. But let's say something about the internal risk. This is the price war. This is the biggest risk we can observe on several markets. How to improve the situation? There are different possibilities. Of course, the supervisory authorities shouldn't be involved in the direct policy of the tariffication, but they can introduce strict rules how to create the reserves. This is one of the methods to minimize this dumping policy. The second one, this is so-called direct settlement of the claims. If the client will have the possibility to go back to the insurance company where he bought the MTPL, and this company will be obliged to give him service in the case of the accident, this company will be also interested to have own good financial sources. Because one of the principles of the direct settlement is that the company pays first and then can reimburse the company where the responsible person was insured. This has very interesting and positive influence on a price war. The problem, there are also very high operation costs. This relates directly to the internal organization of the insurance companies. From time to time, they are really bizarre. They base on thousands of the employees. They are repeating the work of the others. Additionally, the companies pay huge commissions because they want to win the agents, the brokers, maybe not the brokers, the agents. So they offer incredible high commissions to them, not thinking about the profit. They think about the money I can receive today. This is the cash flow thinking. They think not about what could happen in 20 years, because maybe the management will be not at the same company. They think what will be today, tomorrow, to receive additional money from the shareholder, to generate the profit today. And this, in many cases, it's related to the lack of the experience. Unfortunately, in many countries, in many markets, in many companies, they are people, they in fact have zero knowledge about the insurance. They know what to do with money, but they are forgetting that it's necessary to generate this money, it's necessary to sell the insurance with a good service, and it's necessary instead to generate huge profit, to create the reserves on the beginning. And this is, I think, one of the most important problems. In fact, who has the influence on such situation? We all. We, as a customers, we can do it directly, not buying the insurance policy at the companies. They are not reliable. From time to time, it's quite obvious, and it's necessary to deliver the message to everybody that the cheaper doesn't mean the best. Secondly, that's a good supervisory. The third, that's the people, they have a professional knowledge. The fourth, in many countries, there exists the institution of the insurance ombudsman. This is the institution in reality protects the customers, the insured person, and victims. But having the possibility to stimulate the behavior of the insurers could have also the positive influence on the activity of the insurance and thinking about the future. As you know, in many countries there are very high minimum guarantee sums. Average, the minimum in EU countries, there's 5 million euro per bodily injury and 1 million per property damage per accident. But in many countries there are no limits. And we have to be faced, we are faced, and we have to think about the consequences of our behavior. I know that in some countries the limits are much lower, but the risk exists. And I think that in the nearest future, even on these markets, the limits will be increased. Another two accumulative risks, they are uninsured driving and fraud. Why they are so important? Because in the case of the uninsured driving, we are losing the money. I can give you a very nice example. The European Commission is looking for more or less 800 million euro. So they are thinking about increasing of the taxes. But we are losing 1 billion of euro due to the fact that not everybody is insured, even MTP is compulsory. What does it mean for us? This creates real problems because we have less premium. You could imagine that there are the countries that is very low level of the uninsured driving, 0.01 as Germany, Austria, for example, in Europe. But there are also another countries where it's huge, 10, 20, 30, 40%. It means that when we accumulate everything together, low premium, less premium due to the fact that many are not insured, we are receiving as a market less money, but we have to finance the same claims. This is the effect of the scissors. The difference is bigger and bigger. And finally, this could lead to the bankruptcies of the insurance companies. And this has also negative psychological impact because there is always bigger and bigger group of the people, they think, I will also manage to survive without insurance policy. So from this point of view, we should do everything to improve the situation. In this case, particular case, this is not only the problem of the insurance market, this is the problem of everybody on every insurance market, and it's necessary to have very close cooperation in this case with the supervisory authorities, with the Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Internal Affairs, with the police. Because the insurance market can only organize the central database of the policies. But the central database of the registered vehicles is in the state hands. There are different methods how to check if somebody is insured or not. But the result is always the same. We are losing the money. And we want to earn money to secure the rights of the consumers. Because if we will be able to generate the reserves on a good level and the profit for the shareholders, for sure we will not have the problem to secure the rights of the customers. Another factor, there is a fraud. They are more or less 10 up to 15% average in EU countries of the money we are losing in different levels. At the moment when we insure the clients, at the moment when we are paying the compensation of the money we are losing every year. So it means that this additional factor that we have less and less money. So we have to coordinate our action. Even we are competitors on the markets, but it's extremely important to cooperate to minimize the risk. And we should start with the information exchange. And unfortunately, this is not satisfactory on many markets. And I would like to invite you to these actions. We are doing this as a Council of Bureau. And we are doing our best. We are more and more successful. It's not so easy to fight against uninsured driving, against fraud, but it's possible. And if you need any guidelines, any instructions, let's say, we can help you. Because this was on the previous screens, the final question is who is the final payer? This is your client. And if we will increase the tariffs because there are more and more people not insured, because the fraud problem is bigger and bigger, because there is a dumping policy on the market, we will be not able to finance our activity. So, where is the consumer? The consumer should be in the middle. This is the most important person. Without customer, you will never manage to do this business. So, on the other hand, we should do our best to satisfy the consumer, to satisfy the person who is obliged to pay the insurance, and also the victim. As you know, the reputation of the insurance company is very easy to disturb. This is much more easier than to promote somebody. Usually, one unsatisfied client, according to the statistics, can destroy the reputation among 10 persons. One satisfied only to 2. But it's better to win this 2 person instead to lose this 10. So think about it. This is very easy to do it, but it's necessary to change the way of thinking. And finally, there will be the possibility to generate the profit, because this is the general intention of the shareholders. They invest the money to receive the added value. This is quite normal. Doesn't matter what is the type of the insurance business, mutual or on a stock, or there are also other ideas. Yesterday I had very interesting conversation with our colleagues from Pakistan and Uzbekistan. There's different approach, but generally speaking, if we invest the money, we want to have something back, as in every other professional activity. So profit, in fact, is not in a contradiction to the security of the consumer rights. This should be also accepted by everybody, and this will be accepted by the consumers and the consumers' organizations, also if we will generate the profit. And this was exactly the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for your kind attention.